Today, we're talking all about LinkedIn, and we're going to dive into some strategies about building a LinkedIn process that really works for you. My ultimate mission with this session today is to take you from feeling frustrated by putting yourself out there on LinkedIn and really help you find a way to build value on LinkedIn with your community so they look to you as a leader in this space. And I understand how you may be feeling right now. The struggle is real when it comes to social media. Sometimes it feels like a whole nother language that we're dealing with. Sometimes we're not sure what to even do with LinkedIn. Sometimes we are not sure how to make it worth our time, and we're not sure how to convert viewers into buyers. So what I'm going to teach today is how to optimize your LinkedIn profile for conversions, the types of content you can put on LinkedIn, and the power of making the right connections, as well as how to follow through. Now, as mentioned, I am a social media strategist. I lead an agency at onlinedrea.com, as well as teach in my free podcast, the Savvy Social Podcast, and at the Savvy Social School, which is my membership and training program. And I would say one of my specialties is making you not feel embarrassed about anything. If you're like, how do I even navigate around LinkedIn? I'm here for you. I want to help guide you through that. Now, if any of you are here today thinking, why LinkedIn? What is really the value of being on LinkedIn, especially as a business? Well, LinkedIn, some stats here for you, over 500 million users. And actually, this stat is from last year. So even in the past year, especially because a lot of businesses are turning digital, their user base is growing. They've introduced a lot of new features in the past year as well that have supported that. At least 40% of LinkedIn users sign in at least once a month. So a lot of their users are active. And you may have noticed, even when you don't sign into LinkedIn, they send you a little update. Like if someone requests to connect with you, they send it via email. So this is a great opportunity as well to encourage people to revisit the app. So there's some activity there. And LinkedIn is also the #1 channel for B2B marketers. So anyone who markets to other businesses, LinkedIn has a great opportunity. We're going to talk about what that looks like today in this session. But also, if you're marketing directly to consumers, I've got some tips for you as well on how to do that. Now, I do encourage questions as we go through this. There will be time for questions at the end, but I want to make sure to get your questions answered throughout as well as those come up. All right, here's an example of the power of LinkedIn. This is my client, Victor. We started working together, and while he says he didn't expect overnight results, within the first 6 months, he was able to get a $30,000 contract directly linked to the actions we took on LinkedIn. And what I'm going to show you today, he's a sales professional, and he works with startup companies, building and training out their sales teams. This is Julie. Julie went through the LinkedIn challenge that I do every single year in January. She just updated her profile, which is step 1 in the challenge, and she got someone who reached out to her and contacted her. So even if you just take one action from today's session, you will see results from it, just like Julie did. And actually, I ended up hiring Julie after working with her in that challenge. She now works with my team as our ad strategist. So that's kind of some of the power of LinkedIn. But before we dive into actually developing your strategy for LinkedIn, I want to start with some foundational training on what it is that you offer, what it is that you present to the world. And we're going to use a strategy called the 3 W's. And I encourage you to put this in the chat. This is a great way for us to get to know each other in the chat as well. So the first W is easy. What do you sell? It could be your offer, your services, your product. Who is it for? Really identifying that target market, that niche market who's going to be purchasing your offer. And why does it matter? And this why does it matter is really focused on that transformation It's really focused on the results. So why do people want to work with you? What is their life going to look like after working with you or purchasing your offer or buying your service? So go ahead and type those in the chat. I'll give mine as an example. So what do I sell is the Savvy Social School. Who is it for? Business owners who are beginning or learning social media. Why does it matter? They want to feel confident in showing up on social media, or they want to feel like they know what they're supposed to do when it comes to social media. So those are my 3 W's. I see Denise in the chat. Denise from Niagara Mountainside Therapeutic Services. I provide therapeutic recreation and yoga classes. I love that, Denise. I'd love to also see your why does it matter, the transformation, because we're going to use this as we build out our LinkedIn profiles. Julie says online course. Okay, Julie, love that. If you could share a little bit more with us what the transformation is with your course and who it's for. Mike is a 3D design and printing service. Awesome. Love that, Mike. Who typically goes after 3D printing services? I'd love to know. Erin says, I sell digital content to local businesses and nonprofits to help them navigate social media, create strategic content that works. And it matters because local business owners don't often have the time to consistently dedicate to social media. Yes, at Story Unlocked. Thank you, Erin. I love Erin's here as well, because what Erin has done is she could list out all of the things that she does, like she helps post to Facebook or she helps write blog posts or whatever that content is. But really, it comes down to time. A lot of business owners don't have time for this, and there's the value in her service. So thank you for sharing those. We're going to use these later. So even if you didn't share them with us now, go ahead and write them down. You can pull out a piece of paper, use a Google document, because we're going to use these 3 W's later in the session. All right, the next thing I want to work on, this is still foundational content, is your last step. And this is part of your 3 W's. It's typically your what do you sell? And it's really what we want at the end of the day. It's when people give you money for the thing that you offer or attention for that thing. So giving you money in a transaction, buying your product, buying your service. But sometimes our ultimate goal is attention. And an example in this case would be if you run a local farmers market. Ideally, when you're using social media, you want people to attend the market, because the more people attend the market, the more you can get quality vendors, and the higher quality of the vendors, it'll bring more people back. So really, ultimately, your goal on social media would be to get people to your local market. So that's attention and attendance. So that's that last step. But when we're talking about social media marketing, we don't typically market the last step all the time. Sometimes we need steps in between. And this is oftentimes called a sales funnel. You may have heard this as a customer journey, but essentially these are the actions between discovering what you do and becoming a client, customer, or advocate. Okay, so they're the steps between discovering what you do and becoming a client, a customer, or an advocate. So there's typically some steps in between. And I like to use the little analogy. It's like a dating analogy, which has gone a little out of style since we've all been locked down, but I'm going to use it anyway. So let's say you're on the prowl, you're on the hunt, and you decide you want to partner up, you want to find your person, and you're going to put yourself out there. Ultimately, you could just decide to, the first person you see, say, yes, marry me. So you bump into someone at a Starbucks. See, it's a little dated, but it works. Bump into someone at a Starbucks, marry me. That could work, but more often than not, there's a wooing period, right? There's a dating period before you lock it down. And I found this cute picture of someone actually getting married at a Starbucks, which I thought was very on point with this analogy. But there's a wooing period, a dating period between making eye contact with someone and them becoming your person, right? And so when we think about social media, it works the same way. When we're on social media, just because someone likes a post, or just because someone leaves a comment, or just because someone sends us a direct message, doesn't mean they're ready for commitment. Sometimes it's just that eye contact. It's or exchanging numbers or going on one date. There's a process and a kind of a sequence of events that typically happens for a lot of people. Those sequence of events may be shorter for some people and may be longer for others. Okay. So just keep that in mind as we're going through and building out this strategy. It's really important to understand that optimizing your profile doesn't always result in marriage at the end of the day. Awesome. I love seeing the 3 W's in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Keep it coming. We're going to use these very soon here. But I want to introduce you to a character who's going to follow us for today's training. Her name is Lisa, and she's going to be our example. Lisa is a podcasting coach. So she's jumping on the podcasting trend and helping businesses build podcasts for their companies. So Lisa's 3 W's would be podcast consulting services. That's her what does she sell? First W. Second W, who is it for? She's specifically going after tech companies or SaaS companies. Maybe she's even going to work in Toronto a little bit for some startup companies. And her why does it matter is she brings personality to their brand. So ultimately, at the end of the day, the reason why a lot of her customers want a podcast is because they want to bring some personality to their tech company. Okay, so this is that transformation. So let's put this in practice, and we're going to start with our headline on LinkedIn. I'm going to walk you through the process, show you how to update it. And if you're feeling brave, I encourage you to update it in real time with us today. So your LinkedIn headline is important because it's the very first thing that people see in the search results and in connection requests. So it's really the deciding factor on whether they should care about what you do. So we want to start off with intention. And I like to think of this as like dressing up for your date, putting on your best clothes because you feel confident in that as well. So the first thing we're going to start off with is your job title. Typically, this is what LinkedIn has automatically for you on there. But make it easy to understand here, something clear. Next up, we're going to talk about your niche. So this also could be your what do you sell? Who is it for, right? That niche, that person, that individual or company that you serve. And we're going to end with your result, your why does it matter? And this is important in the headline because people want to know with a skim of your headline whether or not they could connect with you or should connect with you. Okay. All right. So let's look at Lisa. So this is Lisa's headline. Lisa's a podcasting coach. So this right here is her job title, right? Her title, podcast coach. And she works with tech companies. So you want to make sure that that's right in the headline. She's not a podcast coach for just anybody, but for tech companies. And she helps them grow their authority through podcasting. Okay, so this is her 3 W's in the headline. You do have between 120 and 150 characters with this headline, so you can't go too long here. Got to keep it brief. We will have an opportunity to expand upon this later. But let's do a little pop quiz. See if y'all are keeping up. Here is my friend Tymisha. Tymisha is a personal brand coach, marketing strategist, and she helps coaches grow their brands and marketing funnels to get high ticket clients. So my question for you is, who does Tymisha serve? Can anyone tell me her niche, her second W there? What does she do? I mean, who does she serve? Who does she serve? Does anyone have a guess? In the chat? Hold on, let me make sure. Coaches, yes. Coaches. I see that coming in. Any specific kind of coach, though? It's a very specific kind of coach here. Can we read between the lines a little bit? Okay, I'll give it to you. High ticket coaches. Yeah, social media coaches, I can see where you got that from as well, because she's marketing specifically. But high ticket coaches. So this is her headline. So if this is you, if you need help, if you have a high ticket offer and you need help with your brand and marketing, you would go, yes, Tymisha is the one for me. Okay, one more example here. This is my friend Maddie. And I want to see if you can help me find the result that Maddie gets. So what result does Maddie help her clients get? So Maddie says, I help businesses grow traffic and sales with content marketing, SEO content strategist at the blog Smith. Yes, grow traffic and sales. Thank you, Denise. So this is the result that Maddie helps people get. So can we try to write our own headline today? Can we do it? Let's give it a shot. I'll show you the formula again. And while we're typing this out, add your job title, your niche, and your result. Write it on your piece of paper, type it out in the chat. See if you can come up with a headline that's punchy but short. And while you're doing that, I'll show you where you put this headline. So I'm going to navigate to LinkedIn. As you are on LinkedIn, you want to click on this little caret here at the top right-hand corner and head on over to View Profile. From here, you're going to click on this pencil icon, and this will pull up the opportunity to edit your profile. And so your headline is right here. So mine says social media strategist helping passion-led online business owners impact and empower more people using social media. I usually say business owners, but I think I ran out of space. So I said online businesses. So we kind of have to put it within the space that's available there. But does anyone feel brave enough to update their headline and put it in the chat? I will also note this, LinkedIn will automatically put your current position as your headline, which is okay, but as we're working on optimizing, we really want to make sure we have that transformation. So for instance, if I left it at social media strategist and host of the podcast, anyone who's reading this may go, why does this matter to me? Like, why would I want to follow a social media strategist, right? But if I can help you impact and empower more people using social media, that transformation can be informative for you. All right, Julie has one here. Professional organizer working with DIY clients to create organized homes. Wonderful, Julie, I love that. Corazon, I hope I'm saying your name right. Digital marketing strategist that helps small local businesses increase their presence online. Perfect. Denise says, I am a yoga teacher and a therapeutic recreationist, helping people feel better through providing yoga classes and programs for people with dementia. Awesome. Denise, I would just suggest you don't have to have the IMA. You can just start with yoga teacher and therapeutic recreationist. And then also it may be a little bit long. So go ahead and try it out. You may have to shorten it just a little bit based on the character count. Wonderful. Look, we're already making progress today. I love this. I love this. All right. Let's go on back to our slides. And as you're working through this as well, if you want more feedback or if you have more questions, we will definitely cover this at the end as well. All right, let's talk about the LinkedIn summary. I see some more headlines coming in. These are great. These are very inspirational too. So y'all take a look at what's in the chat for those of you watching live. All right, so next up, we're going to write our summary. And I will say this, I keep calling it summary. It's called an about section now. I've been teaching this workshop for 4 years and I need to update my language. So you may see it on Facebook as summary. It may also be called an about section. It really is like an about page on a website. So we're going to take what was in our headline and we're going to expand upon it in our summary section. Okay, so if you remember, our headline was this: job title, niche, result. We're going to use this same formula in our summary section, but what we're also going to add in is a call to action. Okay, so if we think about the reasons why people visit the summary, it's because they're interested and they want to be persuaded. They want to know, how can they take this next step with you? So we're going to dive deeper into each of these areas. So for the job title, we're going to talk more about what we do. If you have any qualifying items like degrees or places you've been published, you can go ahead and put this here. Certifications, that sort of thing. We're also going to talk more about our niche, which is who we serve. We're going to get more specific about the types of clients we serve. And if you can name drop here. Talk about your specific clients. And then lastly, your result. So get more specific about the results that you have helped clients achieve, your customers achieve. And if you have examples, put them here. So if you remember Lisa is our example for today. We're going to write out Lisa's summary section based on this formula. And remember, she's a podcasting coach. So Lisa's first part of her summary section, she's choosing to do first person as well. It really is your choice. I like first person. It feels more personable. I've seen people use third person, but she's going to say, "Hi there. My name is Lisa Smith. I'm a podcast coach. I love working with tech companies that are looking to grow their community online. My past clients include Apple and Facebook." Wow, go Lisa. Those are some pretty big clients for this fictional character. All right, so this is Lisa's summary section, the first part. The second part is this. This is really where she talks about her expertise. Through my podcast coaching services, I strive to encourage my clients to increase their authority and build their brand through podcasting. You may have seen my client, Amazing Tech Company, featured in Podcasting Today as the best tech podcast of 2019. Okay? Again, adding in some qualifying examples of the results that she helps people get. And here's the most important part. And often what's missing for a lot of us is the call to action. Interested in working with me? Book your free discovery call today, lisawebsite.com/booking. So this is an example of what your summary section could look like. And I do want to emphasize the call to action, because if someone's looking this far, they want to see more. Now, one thing to note is that LinkedIn doesn't have hyperlinks in the about section. So what that means is these links aren't clickable. However, I still want you to include them, because if someone's reading that far, they're willing to copy and paste this into their browser. So again, your job title, your niche, your result, plus your call to action. Let's see a few of these in real time. I'm going to show you my client, Cara. She is a life coach. And so this is her summary section. So she has both her who she serves and the result that she wants right in that first sentence. Are you a smart feminist woman who wants to be more confident? So feminist woman looking for confidence building support. So she asks more questions here that dive deeper into this. And then she goes into her qualifications: master certified coach, degrees from Harvard and Yale. Okay, so these are examples of how she puts qualifiers in the summary section, and her call to action. So if you want all of these things, join her program called The Clutch. Okay, so this is how she does it. You can see there's emojis here. This link isn't hyperlinked, but someone could easily copy and paste this into their browser. So this is just one example of what that could look like. Here's one more example. This is Erin. She was actually recently on my podcast, the Savvy Social Podcast, talking all about story and messaging, and just a brilliant individual all around. But she talks in her summary section about what she does. So digital business strategist, award-winning broadcaster. There's that qualifier. She also talks about 2 decades of experience, both in storytelling and on camera. And I know for some of us, it's going to feel a little bit like bragging, but we've got to add in these things to talk more about what we do. So she talks about how she can help. She has a few different ways. Whether it's to be a talk show host, whether it is to uncover your personal brand story, or if you want to invite her to speak. She's got all of these things here. And again, she has her qualifiers here. She's had clients like Giant Tiger and Staples Canada, et cetera, et cetera. And so these things really help people understand quickly what she brings to the table. All right, so that's your summary section. It may take you a little while to get it going, but what I want you to emphasize with you as well is that you can always edit it. So as you go through later today, maybe, or by the end of this week and update your summary section, know that you can go back and always add more as your business grows. All right, let's move on and talk about the different types of content you can post to LinkedIn. And we're focusing here on personal pages. At the end, if there are any questions about company profiles, I can definitely answer those. We're talking about adding content to LinkedIn, sharing posts to LinkedIn. And this is a topic that I get often from business owners as well, because we're not quite sure what to say in a LinkedIn update. So I want to share with you 5 different types of content pieces that you can share to LinkedIn. The first type is promotional content. This is the type of content where you're talking about that last step or the next step. You're inviting someone in to work with you. Hey, if you're interested, here's a consult call. Or if you want to sign up for my program, here's the link to join us. But the key with the promotional posts is to start with that transformation and typically start with a question. So, are you looking for more support in maybe homeschooling your kids because it's a pandemic, right? Or are you looking for more ways to bring foot traffic into your local shop, boutique? So those are questions that talk about the transformation that your ideal client is looking for, and then you can offer your service and your offer as a solution. The second content type is educational content. So this is really teaching something about what you do. It's showcasing that you and your business, you're an expert in your space. So for example, if you are a therapist, maybe you're going to talk about how important. I shouldn't have picked the therapist angle because I don't have an example. I don't know how important talk therapy is to developing your sense of self. If you are let's say, a local boutique, maybe a local flower shop, maybe you're going to educate on the different types of flowers and why certain flowers go well together, right? And so share your expertise. Oftentimes, these educational posts are things that come very naturally to us. They're things that if a client asks us a question about it, we can answer it in a heartbeat. So share those answers on social media as well. Our third content piece is a community-focused content type. This really showcases that not only are you talking about the content that you're sharing online, but there are other people out there who are talking about these things as well. Bringing in a community element. So for example, if you are, I saw quite a few in here who are content creators or graphic designers. If you're a content creator, maybe you're going to share an update about something happening with Instagram, the latest update with LinkedIn. If you are a homeschool teacher, maybe like a private tutor, you're going to talk about the updates with the importance of the changes that are happening with the pandemic and the safety there. Or maybe you're going to share an article that you read about how to take breaks from staring at screens all day. So this is an example of something that's not directly you, but you're sharing other things that are happening in your community. The fourth content type is entertaining content. And yes, this does work on LinkedIn as well. Typically, though, for businesses, this content type is that behind the scenes reality TV show version of your business. And I like to use this as a way for people to celebrate with you. So if you're hitting a business milestone, if you're revamping your patio space, if you have a new employee, this is that reality TV show version of what's happening inside of your business. Let people in, let them celebrate with you. If you work from home, like I do as well, it could be simple things like showing your home office setup. Whatever the case, these are the types of posts that people really like to engage with, and it's something that can really balance out your content strategy. All right, the last content type is the engagement pillar. So engaging content. You really want to pull this away from being centered on you all the time and really focus on your community. What would they want to see? What would they want to engage with? Ask questions. I really like to use a poll here. So like an ABCD type poll. So a silly example would be, what's your favorite season? A, spring, B, summer, D, fall, C, winter. I said those backwards, but whatever the case may be. Those types of polls work really great because you get the people in the comments who are like, oh, B, summer, I love summer. But you also get the people in the comments who are like, I don't like any season. And so either way, you're encouraging engagement there. Now, this may seem like a lot of content. So I don't want you to have to post all of these content pieces every day, but I do want you to have a balance. So you can see here that out of the 5 content pillars, only one of them is directly promoting something. So when you're thinking about breaking this down, your promotional content should be about 1/5 of the content that you post on social media. So 1 out of every 5 posts, but you do not have to post every day, especially on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of my favorite platforms for this because you don't have to post every day, which is great. So let's talk about that cadence, the frequency of posting, and building out a posting strategy that works for you. So if you are a beginner, I know there's a lot of beginners in here, try to commit to posting 1 time per week. And again, the beauty of LinkedIn is that if you post on Monday, there's still a high likelihood that it'll pop up in someone's feed on a Thursday or a Friday. So even if you're committing to 1 time a week to post, this still is a really good cadence, especially for a lot of us who are just committing to this for the first time. As you warm up, you may want to increase that frequency to 3 times per week. A good rule of thumb here is if you start to see a lot of engagement on that one post a week, add in another post and see if you'll also get some great engagement on that as well. And then if you're at advanced level, you can increase that to 5 times per week. A lot of my B2B clients do this, especially if they have a really heavy outreach strategy or they're thought leaders in their space. We're really posting about 5 times a week for those people. If you're struggling with committing to this frequency, I also encourage you to commit to a time. So within the Savvy Social School, every Friday at 2:00, we work together on our social media content for an hour. So if you could block that time off in your schedule, I'm going to take 1 hour to think about LinkedIn this week. You'll see amazing results from committing to that time for yourself. All right, so let's use Lisa again as our example and outline her content strategy. So what Lisa is going to do is every Monday, she's going to share a new podcast episode, whether it's her own podcast or one of her clients' podcast episodes. She's going to promote that. Every Wednesday, she's going to share some sort of industry article. This would be her community post. And every Friday, she's going to ask a question. She wants to try to engage and encourage engagement from her audience. She's choosing 3 times a week because she has been posting a little bit already. Wonderful. All right, so we've talked a lot about setting the stage with both content and your profile. But where the magic happens on LinkedIn is actually building connections with people. Remember that dating analogy? We're going to put ourselves out there now that our profile is fully optimized and we've got some content, we've got some posts going out. So Lisa, our podcast coach, she's feeling more confident. She's got her headline, shares what she does. It talks about her transformation. She's got her summary, which explains all of that in more detail. And she started posting. So it's now time to build connections. So instead of waiting for people on LinkedIn to find her, she's going to go out and find other people. Now, there's a few different ways that you can search for people on LinkedIn. You can look up a company. So in Lisa's example, she maybe wants to look up Google or Spotify or MailChimp or Slack, right? Those are tech software companies that maybe she wants to work with. You can also search by position or job title. So marketing director, CEO, that sort of thing. And you can also search by keyword. So tech startup is an example. So I want to show you how this works on LinkedIn. And let's see if someone has an example in the chat. Tell me a little bit about who you would want to connect with on LinkedIn, and let's see if we can find them. So in the chat, go ahead and write who you would want to connect with. Either, let me go back to this, either the company, the position, or the keyword. Okay, so Erin says wineries. So what I'm gonna search for is, let's just search for the word winery and see what comes up. Now, as you search for this, you can already see some people starting to pop up here. But what I want you to encourage you to do is to tap on people, because we're going to search for individuals specifically. And right off the bat, we've got Charlie Pillitteri from Pillitteri Estates Winery. This is, I think, going straight for the CEO sometimes may not be the best strategic option. Erin, especially since I think you said you're a content manager, so you may want to look for a director of operations or something like that, but this is a good place to start. So let's say you wanted to even just take a look at him, look at his profile. But what I would suggest is scroll over to where we are, Pillitteri Estates. Oh, they don't have a company page. Okay, let me see. Let me look for them specifically. Am I spelling it right? Pillitteri. All right. So look for them specifically. This person here. Okay, here we go. Looks like all the families here. They don't have a company page, but you can see by searching for the name, there's a few people who pop up who say they work there. So that could work. Let's go back a few pages here and see who else here. So we've got the general manager at this winery. That could work for you. We've got some CEOs here, presidents. So this could really start your search, at least identifying specific wineries and seeing individuals who work there. You can, yes. So the question that came in is, can you geo limit searches if you're looking for more local? Absolutely. So once you toggle to people, you can also select location and type in. So for example, I'm in Fort Erie. So I could just type in Fort Erie to pull that up. Or let's say I wanted to go to Calgary. I could also type in Calgary and it'll pull that up as well. So you can search by location. Once you, let's use Calgary as an example, it'll pull up those folks from there as well. Let's do one more example of this. Jude says, I work with leadership development professionals and leadership coaches. So I would look up leadership coach. Now, Jude, the other thing I'd recommend as well is some people are leadership coaches. They may not call themselves that. So you may also want to do some research on how they title themselves. So right away, here's Susan, and I'm still in Calgary here, but she's a leadership coach, PR strategist, and president of Lean in Calgary. So what I would do here is click on her profile, make sure to review it, take a look at her headline, her summary, see if this is someone that you want to connect with. And then when you hit connect, I'm going to do this as me. When you hit connect, it'll send an invitation to Susan. I just add in a little note. Hi, Susan. I'm looking to connect with more Canadian leadership coaches and spelling. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better. All right, so I'd write a brief message, really emphasizing why I'm connecting with her and pointing out something specific about her profile. Be as personable as you can. I usually try to look for some overlap. So typically I would look for someone in Niagara, so then that's a point of connection, or I'm originally from Atlanta, so I may try to look for people in Atlanta. I went to Georgia State University, so I may want to look for people who went to my university. But any way that I can add a connection point here, I would, and then I would hit send. Jude says, yes, my strategy is connecting with people who have the right titles and headlines. Absolutely. Julie asks, what if you're not looking for business to business executives, but individuals. Julie, let me just scroll back up. If you can give me a quick update on what you do, we can, professional organizer. Okay, so Julie, for your work, I would look for collaboration partners. So don't go directly after your target client. LinkedIn for you is a great way to build partnerships. So if you're a professional organizer, you're probably looking for interior designers. You're probably looking for house managers, or maybe even cleaning companies, like a home cleaning service. So start looking for people who you can partner with, and go from there, because typically that's the fastest way to get more success. Yeah, renovations, that sort of thing. Fernando, I love your question. I'm going to save that one for the end. That's a great question about the company logo. All right, let's wrap up our session today to talk a little bit about direct messaging. I gave you an example of what it looks like with Susan, the random example here. But I want to talk about the power of direct messaging, because I know we've all had those messages on LinkedIn that are kind of spammy. They're kind of like, I don't know if this person knows me. I got one recently, actually a couple years back, from someone, I think they were in like Minnesota or Missouri, and they were trying to sell me solar panels for my house. And I was like, we're not even in the same country. And so sometimes we get those messages where we don't want to be confused with those people. So here are a few recommendations for direct messaging on LinkedIn. Be very specific about the reason and your intention behind the message. Keep it simple and short. Don't assume anything. I like to think of this as like eye contact at Starbucks, right? Like not every single person you make eye contact with is going to become your best friend. Try to only message first degree connections unless you're sending a connection request like I just did. Otherwise, keep messaging to people who you're already connected with. Be specific about what you want from the message. Emphasize what's in it for them. Include a call to action or that next step. And beware of automations. There are services out there that do automations. Trust me, I've tried nearly all of them, and they're not great for your account. Your account health actually goes down, and LinkedIn is actively blocking these services, so I don't recommend them. Perfect. Yes, Lisa, there will be a replay, and Daphne will take your question at the end as well. All right, so here's a great direct message formula. Start off with something nice, compliment them. Show that you're interested in what they're all about, and then ask for that next step. So this is our Lisa podcasting coach. She's been building up her connections. She actually sees someone who they connected, she's liked and commented on a few of their posts, and now she wants to send them a direct message. So here's her direct message. Hi, Tom. I'm reaching out because I love what your SaaS company is doing in the space. I've always thought there should be a product that combines webinars and email marketing. I'd love to connect with you further to learn more about what you do. Can we set up some time to talk about what you're doing next? I'd love to see how I can support you. Looking forward to hearing from you, Lisa. So you can see that Lisa compliments them on their product, and then she shows interest in what they're doing and asks for the connection. And you will be amazed how far a simple conversation can take you. And I was talking to some of my students about this the other day. Just for some context here, I'll put the formula up on the screen. I met my husband on YouTube as a YouTube comment. So I live this. My closest friends started off as an Instagram group chat between people I did not know. Some of my friends back in Atlanta, I met them from one of those interest groups on meetup.com. And I was in my friend's wedding, and I met her through this strategy without even knowing that I was implementing it. And so this strategy works. It can take you beyond your professional life as well into your personal life, but it's just like building connections with any anything else, just remember that we're all humans here. So I think, we get over eager sometimes and we run up to people and we're like, oh my gosh, marry me. Or we're on LinkedIn and we're like, you have to try this product. It's amazing. And while I think it comes from a really great spot because we are personally invested and interested in our products, oftentimes people need that wooing phase. So my challenge for you this week is, can you find 2 people to connect with and send a direct message to on LinkedIn? Yes or no in the chat. Can we find 2 people this week that you can connect with and send a direct message to? Yes? Yes, I love it. I love seeing the yeses come in because this is where the power is. And almost every single time I teach this workshop and I find someone random like Susan here and I send them a direct message, almost every time they respond. And recently I had someone actually book a coffee chat with me, a virtual Zoom coffee chat. And we really connected because we had similar businesses and it was just really nice to build that connection point. So yes, we can. I love it. All right, so we're going to spend the next 10 minutes or so doing some Q&A. I want to put my email up on the screen for those of you who are interested in connecting with me further. I'm Andrea@onlinedrea.com. And I did see some questions come in. Fernando asks, how do you put your company logo on your LinkedIn? So Fernando, this is actually a LinkedIn company profile. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how to set one up if you haven't set one up already. So I'm going to go back to this tab here. And from your profile, you click this little drop down caret. And you can come down here and you'll see company profiles. I have some here. If you don't have one, it'll say, do you want to set one up? So you can click that there. You can also click work here, and I believe it will take you to one. Yep, at the bottom here, create a company page. So from here, you're going to walk through the steps of setting up your company page, very similar to setting up a Facebook page. Once you have it set up, I'll go to mine as an example. This is mine down here. So once you have it set up, when you update your job title here, you'll start typing it in and it'll pop up with your company page. So you do want to make sure that you update it to the one you just set up. Otherwise, it'll just be blank. And then when you go over to your page, you can edit this information here. So I'm going to edit this by clicking the pencil. You can upload a cover photo here, or edit this by clicking edit page here. And I believe there is, they keep moving this around on me. Right here under page info, you can upload the page logo. So basically you need to create a company page, update the logo. Now, the reason I don't teach company pages is that it's really hard. It's really tough to grow a company page on LinkedIn. Most people want to connect at the individual level, but it still is a great option, especially if you are intermediate or advanced user and you want to start building up that platform there. Great question. Okay. Daphne says, I'm with a poetry group and we don't know how to start an organization page. Oh, Daphne, yes, I answered this question. Perfect. Are there steps for engagement? Are the steps for engagement the same as a personal profile? So it is a little bit different for a page. So as a LinkedIn company page, you cannot go out and connect with other people individually, which is the challenge for growing. So people have to find your page and connect with you in order to follow the page update. So they have to choose to follow that page. Now, there is one workaround, Daphne, and as you're building up your personal connections, when you're looking at your page, if you scroll on down, you can invite people to follow your page. And you can see here, you get a certain number of credits each month where you can invite people to like your page, very similar to what you're doing on Facebook, and you can do that as well. So let me click invite for Linda, for instance, and it checks invited. And so you can kind of scroll through your connection points and see who you want to invite to like your page. I think it has to be a really strong fit for them to like your page. And this is why I suggest building up some sort of rapport with that person, because they'll get a notification like, Andrea just invited you to like this page. Do you want to like it? And if they look at that and they go, I don't know who Andrea is, I don't know who this company is, they're not going to hit yes on that. So you do want to make sure you have some relationship with them. All right, Mike asked, any advice about using LinkedIn Live video? Yes, I'm actually loving LinkedIn Live right now. So it's a beta process to be invited to like the page. It's a beta process to be in LinkedIn Live. So LinkedIn Live, so live streaming on LinkedIn, is not available to everyone just yet. You have to apply. And if your application is accepted, they will say yes. I have had most of my clients go through the approval process. And what I've noticed is the clients who are already posting video get approved sooner than the ones who aren't posting video. So my suggestion, Mike, is make sure you have a video on your LinkedIn profile, specifically something that you've uploaded through mobile. We notice that the mobile device upload seems to trigger it somehow. And make sure you're using their features, things like LinkedIn stories and those sorts of things. So that can really help fast track. And then I use a tool called Restream. So you will need a third-party tool to be able to stream live to LinkedIn. You can't stream live directly from the platform. I use a tool called Restream for that. So if you want my coupon or link, like the discount link, let me know, Mike, and I can send that over to you. Yes, awesome. All right. Yes, Denise says she'll update her profile first. I love that. Okay, so Mike says LinkedIn does not let users have multiple profiles. I would prefer to keep my day job separate from my part-time interests. So this is a question we get a lot as well, Mike. And the challenge is, yep, you cannot have two profiles for the same content. So what a lot of my clients do is they're using LinkedIn for one or the other, and typically their day job takes precedent, and they may use other profiles instead. So like a Twitter or an Instagram to grow their part-time job or their business that they're growing. So that does become challenging. If there's overlap, so I'll use an example. My client Linda does this. So she is a VP at a Fortune 500 company, but she also teaches she has a career coaching practice. And so her profile, she's got her business here, the TV Extra Effort, but then she also has her business here as well. There's not really a lot of overlap in what she does in her day job. So her day job is on her profile, but a lot of her posts are about her career coaching. And because she is a VP of global quality, she can use that as part of her expertise. But outside of that, there's not really a lot of overlap. She does have to be very clear, though. I think she has some sort of rule in place where she can't coach people who work at Meritor. So she doesn't really spend her time connecting with people who are, within her company. But this is how she has her side hustle and her main day job on the same profile, and she's transparent with them at work. It is very challenging if you do want to keep them separate, though. Do we have any last questions to pop in the chat? If there aren't, I do want to show you one more tip if we have time. One more thing that I love. Okay. So on profiles now, you can actually have your name pronounced. So I thought this was fun because my name is pronounced Andrea, not Andrea. And so I thought that would be fun. So I just have, I don't think y'all can hear that, but if you click it, it'll say Andrea. I want to send you one of my clients who recently just changed hers. I'll put her link in the chat. She just changed hers to be her headline. So she goes, "Hi, I'm Rachel Bosch. I help people communicate better at work." So you can actually hear her saying that here. So that could be a really neat way to connect with people and add some personality to your profile as well. Awesome. No more questions. Y'all are LinkedIn pros now. I'll put my contact info up on the screen.